The assignment, the Empire was vast, stretching across stars and ruling countless species. They believed they understood every race they controlled, every culture they crushed, and every secret of survival in the galaxy. But there was one strange world that still made the High Council whisper in private chambers. That world was Earth. The order came without warning. The alien officer named Kael was summoned into the council chamber. Tall figures with silver skin and cold eyes stood above him. Their words carried no warmth. "You are assigned to watch the humans," the council leader said. "Observe them, study them, confirm their weakness, and report to us. Do not interfere. Only watch." Kyle bowed, but inside he felt uneasy. He had studied hundreds of species before. Most were predictable, most were easy to understand. Yet every file about humans ended the same way, with contradictions. The reports were messy, confused, and sometimes unbelievable. Some files called humans violent beyond reason. Others called them compassionate to the point of madness. How could one species hold such extremes? His shuttle left the Empire stronghold, cutting through space in silence. The stars blurred as the engines carried him toward the blue planet. Kael sat alone, his clawed hands tapping against the console. He thought about his duty. "Observe weakness," he whispered, repeating the council's words. "Confirm weakness." But why, he wondered, why did the Empire need confirmation? Usually one order was enough to destroy a race, yet here they demanded observation, patience, careful study. The shuttle entered Earth's orbit. Clouds swirled beneath him, oceans shimmered with sunlight, and great cities glowed like clusters of fire in the night. Kael adjusted his disguise module, shifting his alien features into something more human. If he wanted to move among them, he could not risk show. Wing his true face. The first step of his mission was simple. Blend in, watch them closely, gather their secrets. He landed quietly near a small human settlement far from the towering cities. He wanted to see humans where technology did not hide their nature, where survival was closer to the skin. The village was small. Wooden houses lined narrow roads. Children ran in open fields. Old men carried baskets. Women spoke in groups. Laughter mixed with arguments. Life seemed ordinary. Nothing powerful, nothing dangerous. Yet Kael felt something unusual. Humans looked fragile, their skin thin, their bones light, their movements ungraceful compared to the predator species of the galaxy. And yet their eyes carried something sharp. A fire that he could not explain. He spent the first nights hiding in the shadows, watching, taking notes on his recorder. Humans tire easily, yet they continue to work. Humans argue, yet they return to help each other. Humans risk themselves for strangers. Illogical, illogical, he muttered as he wrote. One night, a storm broke across the land. The wind howled, rain hammered against roofs, thunder cracked. Kael climbed higher into the trees to watch how the humans would respond. A large tree near the village snapped under the storm, crashing toward a small house. Inside, a child screamed. Kael leaned forward, waiting to see what humans would do. The father rushed outside, barefoot in the storm. He threw his body against the falling weight, his arms shaking, his strength nothing compared to the tree. Yet he pushed, strained, and shouted. Others came, neighbors, friends, even strangers. Together they pulled the child to safety. Kael's chest tightened. He whispered to himself, "They should have run. They should have left the weak one behind." But they did not. When the storm ended, the humans gathered in the broken house. They sung, shared food, blankets, and warmth. No one asked for reward. No one demanded payment. Kael sat in the darkness, his thoughts twisted. The Empire said they are selfish. The Empire said they are weak. But what I see is different. He closed his recorder, but left the page unfinished. The next morning, as the sun rose over the wet fields, a young girl noticed him near the trees, her wide eyes fixed on him. Kael froze, his disguise still active. He looked like a traveler, but fear gripped him. The girl smiled instead of screaming. She waved. "Hello, stranger," she said in a soft voice. Kael hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Hello." In that simple moment, he felt a strange pull inside. He had studied hundreds of species, but none had greeted him with such innocence. None had made him feel both welcome and unsafe at the same time. His mission had only just begun. But already Kael felt the Empire's lies starting to crack. The storm, the sacrifice, the kindness. It was not weakness, it was something else, something the Council feared, and deep inside Kael wondered, what if the Empire is not watching humans because they are weak, but because they are strong in ways we cannot see? He did not know it yet, but this assignment would not just test his loyalty, It would test his survival, and his survival, he would soon learn, depended only on them. First contact, Kale stayed in the human village longer than he planned. The storm had passed, but the memory of what he saw kept replaying in his mind. A group of fragile beings risking their lives for one child. In the Empire's logic, this was foolish, yet here it was normal. Each night he hid in the shadows, recording details, studying every move. Yet every day humans surprised him. They laughed when they should have cried. They argued but then shared food. They helped strangers without hesitation. It was chaos, but somehow it worked. One evening, as the sun sank and painted the sky orange, Kyle wandered close. A young girl spotted him again, the same child who had waved before. She walked toward him without fear, her hands full of wildflowers. "You look lost," she said softly, offering him one of the flowers. Kyle froze. His disguise flickered for a second under stress, but the girl only tilted her head, waiting for him to speak. "Yes," he answered slowly, his voice low. "I am a traveler." The girl smiled. "Then you must eat with us. No traveler should be alone." Before Kyle could refuse, she ran back toward her home, calling for her father. Suspense gripped him. If he entered their home, if he sat with them, he would be breaking his orders. He was not to interfere, only to watch. But something inside urged him to step forward. The family welcomed him like one of their own. They gave him bread, warm stew, and water. Kyle tasted it carefully, his senses alive. He had eaten meals from 100 worlds, but never had food carried such weight. Not because of flavor, but because of the hands that gave it freely. The father asked, "Where do you come from, stranger?" Kyle hesitated, then replied, "Far from here, far beyond your lands." They nodded, not pressing further. Humans, he realized, carried a strange respect for mysteries. As the night deepened, the family sang together, their voices rising in harmony. The sound was raw, imperfect, yet powerful. Kyle felt his chest tighten again, a feeling he had no word for. Suddenly the ground shook. A distant roar split the silence. Villagers rushed outside, fear filling their faces. Kyle followed, his senses sharp. From the hills beyond, a pack of wild beasts charged toward the fields, their eyes glowing in the dark, their teeth bared. Kyle recognized them instantly. Predators of this world, deadly, merciless. Humans screamed, but instead of running, men and women grabbed torches, farm tools, and stones. They stood shoulder to shoulder, forming a wall, protecting their children. Kale's orders echoed in his mind. Do not interfere, only watch. Yet as the beasts leapt forward, instinct surged through him. His claws twitched beneath his disguise. The father of the young girl swung a torch wildly, pushing one beast back, but another circled around, racing toward the children. Kyle's heart pounded. If he stayed hidden, the child who smiled at him would die. For the first time in his mission, Kyle broke his orders. With a swift movement, faster than any human could see clearly, he grabbed a fallen spear, his arms surging with strength beyond human limits. He drove the weapon into the beast. Its roar cut the night. The others froze, confused by the sudden force. The villagers gasped, staring at him, their eyes wide. But no one asked how he did it. No one questioned his power. They only shouted louder, pushing the rest of the beasts back until the pack fled into the darkness. Silence followed, heavy, trembling. The villagers turned to him, their faces filled with gratitude. The father placed a hand on Kyle's shoulder. "You saved us, stranger. You saved our children." Kyle swallowed hard, unsure what to say. He had not saved them. They had saved him. Their courage had lit the fire. Their unity had held the line. He had only struck once, later that night, alone in the shadows again. Kyle recorded his words with shaking hands. Humans are not weak. They stand against death with nothing but wood and fire. They fight for one another. They protect even the smallest child. This is not weakness. This is strength. The Empire cannot measure. He paused, then whispered to himself, "And I broke my orders. I interfered. The Council will know. They always know." Yet deep inside, Kyle felt something stronger than fear. A pull he could not deny. He thought of the girl's smile, the father's hand on his shoulder, the voices singing under the stars. For the first time in his long service to the Empire, Kyle was no longer just an observer. He was part of something dangerous, something powerful. And as the night wind swept across the village, Kyle realized with growing dread. The Empire feared this, not human weakness, but human strength, he whispered into the dark. If the Council ever sees what I have seen tonight, they will not wait. They will destroy this world. But Kyle was no longer sure he could let that happen. The test of survival. The next morning, the village seemed peaceful again. Children played in the fields, farmers worked in the soil, and smoke curled gently from chimneys. Yet inside Kyle's chest, there was no peace. He had broken his orders. He had saved a human child, and the Empire would soon notice his silence. He walked alone beyond the fields, trying to clear his thoughts. But the earth beneath him trembled, first soft, then violent. The ground cracked, trees shook, houses quivered, humans shouted in panic. "Earthquake!" a villager screamed, pulling children away from collapsing walls. Kyle staggered as the ground split beneath his feet. He leapt aside just in time, but the quake grew stronger. Hills crumbled, rocks thundered down. The entire valley shook as if the world itself was tearing apart. He saw humans rushing not away, but toward danger, dragging neighbors, lifting the wounded, shouting for those trapped. Their courage stunned him. A deafening crack split the air. The riverbank shattered. Water surged through the fields like a beast unleashed. A wall of muddy flood roared straight toward the village. Kyle's heart raced. His instincts screamed to flee, but he froze, watching as the humans fought to hold the flood back with nothing but wood, ropes, and bare hands. The water struck with fury, sweeping away homes, carrying people with it. Kyle's disguise flickered, his true strength showed as he grabbed a falling beam to shield two children. But then a massive log smashed into his side, throwing him into the rushing current. Cold water swallowed him whole. His chest burned, his limbs thrashed, his strength meant nothing here. The flood dragged him under, twisting, pulling, crushing. For the first time, Kyle felt death close around him. But then, hands grabbed him, rough, desperate human hands. They pulled, shouted, fought against the current. He glimpsed faces above the water. The father, the same man who had trusted him, and the young girl screaming his name. Kyle had no breath to answer, no power left to fight, but the humans refused to let go. They formed a chain, linking arms, risking their lives as the river tried to tear them apart. Piece by piece, they dragged him back to the shore, coughing, broken, weak. Kyle lay on the ground, water pouring from his lungs. His vision blurred. He felt the warmth of human hands pressing against his chest, forcing him to breathe, forcing him to live. Time blurred, but slowly, his strength returned. He sat up, staring at the faces around him, bruised, bleeding, exhausted, but alive. They had saved him, he whispered, his voice shaking. Why risk yourselves for me? I am not one of you. The father looked at him firmly. Because you are here, and that is enough. Those words struck deeper than any blade. Later, when the floodwaters calmed and fires were lit for the night, Kyle sat apart, his recorder in his hands, his claws shaking. Today, I should have died. He spoke into it, his voice raw. Yet humans saved me. They saved me without knowing what I am, without asking what I could give them. They saved me because to them, every life matters. He stared into the flames, realizing the truth. He was no longer observing them, he was surviving because of them. As the night deepened, he noticed the young girl approach, her small hands carrying bread again. She sat beside him, smiling softly. You are safe now, she said. You will not be alone. Kyle felt something shift inside him, something dangerous. Loyalty. He thought of the Empire, of the cold council that demanded obedience, of the lies they told about humans. And he felt a sharp dread. If the Empire knew the truth, if they understood the strength he had seen, they would not hesitate. They would strike with fire and erase this world. And yet, Kyle whispered to himself, if they come, I will not let them. Far above, hidden beyond the stars, he did not know Empire ships were already turning their eyes toward Earth. The test of survival was over. But the true war of loyalty had only just begun. Empire's deception, the night after the flood. The village slept in silence, exhausted from saving what little remained. Kyle sat alone near the dying fire, his recorder in his hand. He replayed the words he had spoken, words that would condemn him if the Empire ever heard. He stared at the stars above, knowing that somewhere beyond them, the Empire was watching. His fear came true sooner than he expected, a sharp pulse in his ear, a voice crackling through the hidden implant, cold and commanding. "Agent Kale," the Council's tone was hard as stone. "Your silence has been noted. Report immediately. Confirm what we already know. Confirm the weakness of humans." Kale froze, his throat dry. Weakness? That was the Empire's demand. But the truth clawed inside him. Humans were not weak. They were something the Council could never understand. He whispered, "Humans are—" Then he stopped. He could not finish. The voice grew sharper. "You will confirm, or your loyalty will be questioned." The message ended. Silence returned. But Kyle's chest felt heavy. His loyalty was already cracking. The next morning, he walked through the ruined village. Humans worked together without complaint, rebuilding homes, lifting stones, carrying water. They were bruised, cut, tired, yet their laughter returned as they rebuilt. He paused when he saw the young girl, the one who had waved at him first. She carried wood on her small back. Her father tried to stop her, but she insisted. "We all must help," she said. Kale's heart twisted. He had seen warriors of the Empire abandon comrades for less, yet here a child worked with the same courage as a soldier. Later, the girl found him watching and smiled. "You are always alone," she said softly. "Why? You are part of us now." Part of them. The words burned him because he wanted to believe them, but he knew the Empire would never allow it. That night, the sky above the village glowed faintly with light, not from stars, but from ships hidden high in orbit. Kyle's sharp eyes saw them. His stomach turned cold. The Empire was not just watching him, they were preparing. Again his implant buzzed. "Agent Kale, final warning, send the report, confirm humans are nothing." He gritted his teeth, whispering back, "If I lie, they will live. If I tell truth, they will die." His claws dug into the soil. His mind tore itself apart. Suddenly, screams echoed through the village. Kyle raced forward. Humans pointed at the sky. Fire streaked down. A probe crashed into the fields. The ground shook with impact. Smoke rose. Kale recognized it instantly. Not a probe, a hunter drone, Empire-made, designed to test the strength of prey before extermination. The villagers gathered with torches and weapons, fear in their eyes. The young girl clutched her father's hand. Kyle's disguise flickered as his rage grew. The drone rose from the crater, metal legs snapping, eyes glowing red, weapons unfolding. It scanned the humans, measuring, recording, preparing. Kale knew what would follow. If the drone's report went back, the Empire's fleet would strike. There would be no escape. The humans charged anyway, throwing stones, swinging wood, shouting together their cry. Blinding, but the drone was too strong, too fast. One blast knocked the father to the ground, another burned through the fields. Fire spread quickly. The girl screamed, running toward her father. Kyle's chest burned, his orders shattered completely. With a roar, he leapt forward, his disguise tearing away. His true alien form revealed for the first time. Claws, armor, hard skin, glowing eyes. The villagers gasped but did not run. He struck the drone with all his strength, ripping through its metal frame. Sparks exploded. The machine screeched. He drove it into the ground, crushing it until silence fell. Smoke drifted across the ruined field. The humans stared, their eyes wide, but not with fear, with awe. The girl whispered, "You are not like us, but you saved us again." Kyle stood trembling, his secret exposed. The drone destroyed, but his heart heavy. Because he knew what this meant, the Empire would know he interfered. They would know he betrayed them. That night, alone in the shadows, Kale whispered into his recorder, "The Empire told me to confirm weakness, but I have seen only strength. If they come for these people, they will face something greater than they ever imagined." He closed his eyes, knowing he had crossed a line. There was no turning back, and high above, in the cold silence of space, the Empire Council reviewed the broken signal from their destroyed drone. Their eyes narrowing, their voices dark. "Agent Kale has chosen the wrong side," one hissed. "Prepare the hunters." Hunted by his own. The morning after the drone's destruction, the village was alive with whispers. The humans had seen Kyle's true form, yet no one turned him away. Instead, they treated him with silent respect. The young girl walked beside him, her small voice calm. "You look different, but you are still you," she said. Her father nodded in agreement. "Whatever you are, you stand with us, and that is enough." Those words should have comforted Kyle, but instead they filled him with fear, because he knew the Empire would not forgive what happened. Far above, on a hidden ship, the Empire Council had already made their decision. Agent Kale is compromised, he has betrayed his orders, send the hunters, he must be silenced. That night, Kyle's sharp senses picked up a sound beyond the village, a low hum in the trees. He stiffened. He knew it too well, cloaked shuttles, landing without light, hunters stepping out with cold precision, 3 of them, armored in black, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. They were not here to observe, they were here to kill. Kyle's chest tightened. He had faced hunters before, and each one was death incarnate, fast, ruthless, unbreakable. He whispered to himself, "They are here for me, not for the humans." But his fear grew, because if the villagers saw these killers, they would not stand aside, they would fight, and they would die. He slipped quietly through the night, trying to lead the hunters away, but they were too skilled. They followed his trail with silent steps, their voices sharp through his implant. "Traitor Kale, surrender. Your report is no longer needed. Your existence ends tonight." Kale's claws flexed, rage burning. But before he could move, a sound broke the silence. A shout from the village, torches flared. Humans had seen the shadows. The hunters turned, scanning the new movement, their weapons ready. "No," Kyle whispered, his heart racing. The villagers rushed forward, thinking intruders had come to steal in the night. They carried axes, sticks, fire, fearless in their numbers. The hunters raised their rifles, but Kyle struck first, leaping from the darkness, claws flashing, forcing their aim away from the humans. Sparks flew as his claws clashed with their metal armor. "Run!" he shouted at the humans, but they did not. They formed a line behind him, shouting, throwing stones, striking with whatever they could. For a moment, Kyle's chest filled Weyo. It's something sharp and bright. These fragile beings stood against hunters of the Empire without hesitation. They didn't even understand the danger. Yet they refused to leave him alone. The fight was brutal. Energy blasts seared the ground. Fire spread through the fields. One hunter slammed Kyle into the earth. Another aimed at the villagers. Kyle roared, tearing free and hurling himself in the way. The blast struck his side, pain ripping through him. The humans shouted in fury, dozens of them rushing forward, distracting the hunters, overwhelming them with chaos. Their courage gave Kyle the opening he needed. He rose, claws dripping with blood and firelight in his eyes, and struck with all his strength. One hunter fell, its armor torn, sparks flying. The others stepped back, scanning the madness of the human mob. "Illogical resistance," one hissed. "These creatures are nothing." But Kyle looked at the humans and growled, "They are everything." Together, humans and alien pushed back the killers, forcing them to retreat into the dark forest, their cloaks flickering as they vanished into the night sky. Silence returned. The villagers gathered around Kyle, his wounds deep, his breath ragged. The young girl knelt beside him, pressing her small hands against his bleeding side, her voice shaking. "You are not alone. We will protect you too." Kyle stared at her, stunned. The Empire had sent its best killers, yet he was alive, because humans had stood with him. Humans had fought for him. That night, he recorded again, his voice weak but burning with conviction. "The hunters came for me, yet humans drove them back. They are not weak. They are not prey. They are something the Empire does not understand. They are unity. They are courage. They are survival itself." He closed the recorder, his claws trembling. Above the clouds, the hunter's shuttle sent a message back. "To the Empire, Target Kale lives. Resistance encountered humans, resisted." In the council chamber, cold eyes narrowed, voices hissed with anger. "If humans resisted our hunters, then they are not weak. They are dangerous. Prepare the fleet."